Good morning to everyone in Germany and good afternoon to our participants from India. My name is Peter Deubert and I'm the Deputy Director General of the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. A very warm welcome to our speakers of today's webinar, brought to you by the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. After 9 weeks of working from home, I very much look forward to today's webinar and our discussions on experiences and challenges in restarting operations. Some states in India have already opened up significantly, whereas Maharashtra is still burdened from a lockdown that has put the economy into a severe coma. I'm very happy to welcome our panelists today, and of course, Dr. Jürgen Morhardt, our Consul General of the Federal Republic of Germany in Mumbai. Our German company representatives are all headquartered in Maharashtra. Before I introduce them, I request Dr. Morhardt to say a few opening remarks. As always, we will have a question and answer session with all participants after the company presentations. We will not be able to answer all questions during the webinar, but after the webinar, we are there. You keep on sending us questions and we will see how best to address them. And together with Dr. Morhardt and the consulate, we will try our best to answer them. Dr. Morhardt, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, all my co-panelists here. Good morning, all those who are participating from Germany or India or wherever. And good morning to the joint team of the Consulate and the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. It's a pleasure to participate in a webinar titled Restarting and the Journey to Recovery Part 1, because this is an optimistic outlook and it's how it should be. And I can't wait to come to the Journey to Recovery Part 5 and 6, because then we should have made it. Peter mentioned it, it's difficult times in particular because most of our companies are located in Maharashtra, and it's very difficult as in particular the metropolitan areas of Mumbai and Pune are still so-called red zones, hotspots with a lot of containment zones. And there is now, the country is not opening up on the same pace. Also Maharashtra is not opening on the same pace. And neither Mumbai, neither Pune are opening up in the same pace or restarting. So every company has a different experience so far. What were the steps to reopening? Can they reopen? Just on the location. It's not something it has to do, of course, with essential business or non-essential business in the beginning. But now at the moment, it's just the location you are in, which is deciding the process you have to face. And then besides the location of your factory is, okay, where are the location of your staff, of your workers, of your laborers, of your experts? That's another challenge. Over the last weeks, we have established quite a nice working relationship with the government, be it from the labor commissioner to police commissioners to the MIDC team, which is there, to the secretary in the Ministry of Industries, and indeed the team, in particular from Pune, of the IGCC, together with myself and my staff, have met regularly to take up individual questions and understand what is possible and what is not possible. The challenge for all of you has been and will be also in the future that the regulations are changing all the time, and the regulations are changing not only all the times, but they're also interpreted all the times differently depending on the containment zones and the situation on the ground. I'm looking forward now to understand how those companies on the panel have restarted their companies, and that is very interesting to understand. And then, of course, we are looking forward to what are the grievances, what are the problems you have. And I think now that the team of IGCC Pune together with Ashumi from the consulate have a huge knowledge already and a compendium how to help you and address you and guide you through the processes you might need in order to restart or to even better start and to kick off the operations. And if something we cannot answer, we are going to connect you with the relevant authorities or the relevant person who is a decision maker on your specific issue. But you can be assured there's really not only open door, as all as you have seen for German investors in Maharashtra, but they're also very, very helpful in individual cases. And please take this opportunity, put everything on our table, and we will take care of you. So I'm looking forward now to learn from the companies which are starting the panel discussion on how they did the restart. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Morhard. And also thank you very much for the close cooperation. And we are working very closely together. That is very, very helpful in this difficult times. It is now time to introduce the panelists for today. We have with us Manojit Acharya, he's MD of Jung Heinrich Lift Truck India. We have Umesh Gandhi, MD of Hudak India. And last but not least, Sagar Bhosle, MD of Schmersal India Private Limited. In their elaboration, I would request each panelist to say a few words about their company and its activities before they start, and then basically just tell us about your experience and your challenges in restarting operations, what you did to navigate this difficult times. Some tips there would also be useful. Maybe you speak also about safety measures that you have implemented, and I think that is also very important, how to keep your team motivated. I mean, that is something which is also a day-to-day job for all of us. And it would also be interesting to know if you were able to keep your business operations running in the past 2 months. And I'm very thankful to Dr. Morhard to giving us the opportunity of also maybe give him a few points where we need help and you need help. So maybe at the end of the presentation, you can name your wish list, and we will see how to best go about it. I would now like Manojit to start, please. Manojit from Jung Heinrich, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you to the Consulate and IGCC for the opportunity. Good morning, Dr. Morhard, my fellow panelists, and everyone who is attending. I represent Jung Heinrich Lift Truck India. We are, naturally a German company which is based in India now for since 2012 for about 8 years. We are in the field of intralogistics. That means providing everything you require for your logistics and warehousing needs, right from the racks to all the equipment, from the very simple pallet truck, right going up to the automated systems like the VNA systems or even higher automation. We cater to a very large spectrum of the industry. We are focused on the warehousing logistics partners like the 3PL companies, but also very highly with the retail, e-commerce, foods and beverages, pharma, chemicals, automobile, engineering, pretty much anyone who has a warehouse or even has manufacturing. So that's about us. And so I just have a few slides which I would use to share my experience for the last some time. We went into work from home just a few days before the Janta curfew. So from the Wednesday before that, we went into the work from home. And initially, we were quite hesitant. I mean, I personally was not very sure how the work from home is going to work for us, because maybe you call me old school or whatever, but that was the thought. But yeah, once Sana, you could go to the next slide. So Um, Fortunately for us, yeah, we were always in action. It was, our work from home started immediately and started working very well. But work from home was only part of the matter. Our biggest aim at that point was so that all our customers in the essential services do not get affected by us not working. That was most important at that point of time. So our team quickly got on to the job of obtaining approvals for uh, essential services. We have our main warehouse and workshop based at Bhiwandi. We do not manufacture in India. All our equipment come completely as built units from our factories in Germany, US, or China, but we have a big warehouse and a workshop in Bhiwandi. The biggest challenge at that point was to get that one started. And we approached the authorities in Bhiwandi, and by 30th of March, we had the necessary approvals for opening up the warehouse and also for some of our service engineers to operate in the Bhiwandi area, mainly for essential services. But then immediately we had to, even at that point of time when things were still not clear, somehow get the place sanitized and fumigated before we started working. And yeah, along with that was, like I said, we had passes for few of the service engineers in to operate in Bhiwandi, but in the rest of the country, we had to really start working on e-passes. And we could go to the next slide, Sana. While we were applying for e-passes for our service engineers, there were many locations where initially in the first few weeks, things were not clear about who do we have to approach for passes or what do we need to do. But fortunately, at that point of time, our customers were the ones who were helping us out. So all our customers in the essential services sector who had approvals to operate actually started working in a manner such that they would send their vehicles with the passes to the residences of our service engineers, pick them up, take them, get the work to happen, and come back and drop them back. So initially, it was a bit of a problem, but soon we realized that by obtaining these kind of letters from many of our customers, it was easy for us to approach some of the authorities. I would not say it was easy all over the country. There were different challenges at different places, but then in many of the places, these letters from the customers helped us or supported our applications to get the relevant approvals, mainly for service. Because our focus, especially in the month of April, was not on how much revenue we can generate, how much turnover we can get in the company, let alone profits. But our focus at that time was to be able to support our customers, to be able to support all the essential services customers and by any which way possible. Sana, the next slide, please. And as all of you all would know, at that point of time, even uh, things like masks and sanitizers were scarce. We were really, scrambling all over the place to get the right masks and sanitizers. We also, being a German company, had a lot of guidelines from headquarters towards what are the kind of masks that can be used and what should not be used. Um, there were things available in at headquarters in Germany, but at that point of time, there were all sorts of export restrictions in Germany, so we could not even buy it from there. So we really had to struggle a bit initially to get even things as simple as masks and sanitizers. But once we had that, and so we told all our, we had the specifications ready, we had our service engineers purchase them, and then they started going. Of course, at the same time, we got all the guidelines in from headquarters, built our own guidelines of what our people should do and avoid doing. And at the same time, what was also very important is while catering to the essential services, also taking care of the non-essential services customers where our equipment would be lying standstill for a longer period of time. And like all of us use cars, and if the car would be standstill for a couple of months, it would need major repairs later. Similar is the situation with our equipment. So we actually built up our after sales team, worked and built up an SOP of not only what the customer needs to do in terms of sanitizing the equipment, but also on the basic maintenance that they could carry on, even if our engineers cannot reach them. So our engineers are going only to essential services, but for the non-essential services, we passed on all this information to the customers if they could take care in whatever way possible. Sana, the next slide, please. So that was that. I mean, in terms of really being somehow keeping the operations on, somehow not worrying about our revenue, but as long as any of our customers who were working, none of their operations were affected because of us. But keeping the team motivated, especially the service engineers motivated, was becoming a challenge. And all the management team, including me, uh, were having very frequent calls with the team members, sometimes with some of their family members also, to try to keep them motivated. And at the end of April, which is typically the time of disbursing our annual bonus, um, very frankly, I and the management team in India, we were wondering whether, with the cash situation that we were or could be in some time, should we disburse the bonus or not. But at that point of time, we felt the most important thing was to further motivate our team and not get them demotivated by them not getting their bonus. So while it may have been a little tough on us on our cash situation, we agreed and decided to go ahead with the disbursal of the annual bonus. And at the same time, we had tie-ups in place uh, where all our employees have the facility of 24/7 online and video doctor consultation for themselves and their families, so that unless it's really, really necessary, they don't need to step out of home. And so all kind of facilities were provided, even to take care of the health. Sana, the next one, please. We felt, that the main two sets of people who have been going out of the comfort of their homes to support the customers were our service team and our team at the Bhiwandi warehouse. And so we decided also that we would add some hardship allowance on a daily basis, because it's not that they were out every day. Even the warehouse in Bhiwandi, we operate in a manner so that they are constantly, they have staggered days on which they need to go. So at any given point of time, we have maximum 20 or 30% of people, and there are no issues in terms of um, social distancing there. So we added on a daily hardship allowance to them. We ensured that none of our employees need to take public transport. And of course, this is one issue which we will also have to see how can we sustain this going forward. But we are at this point of time taking care of all the expenses of no matter where someone is coming from, whether someone is traveling from Mira Road to Bhiwandi, but we are taking care of all the extra cost, and so that they don't come into trouble. Home office has become reality, has complete reality right now, and we would actually look at even extending that going forward. And Also, what we are doing at this point of time, we have divided our teams into three. We are trying to see who are the people who can continue even when our office in our head office in Powai, as and when we get approvals to open it, we don't intend to bring in all the team members into office. We would do it in a very cautious manner, and we're looking at all the people who can continue to work from home should work from home. All our employees who have either young children at home or elderly people at home, they would not be allowed to come into office for the till we take any further decision, and only the rest will come into office in a staggered manner. The next slide, please, Anna. Yeah, in all this, the positive part, of course, is we have really been able to get that appreciation even from our customers. And if you see a few of them, the customer having a breakdown at one of the warehouses late in the evening, and we managing to even dispatch the spare parts that same evening, and engineers working till post midnight or through the night to ensure that the customer's equipment is back on track. And a lot of appreciation coming in. And the good part, and I would want to take this opportunity to mention how our team, even in these conditions, are really united. Unfortunately, last week, one of our engineers who was late in the evening going to attend a customer had an accident on the way, and the other two engineers, at that point of time, immediately went in, whether it was taking him to the hospital or even going and attending the customer. So I think in the midst of all the negativity that we go through the whole day, there are some positives which are coming out. And also, I think it may be virtually, but the team is very well connected, and I would feel that the team is speaking to each other even more than they were earlier. But there are challenges. There are challenges on the way forward. There are challenges when we start looking at our P&L statements. And we have to see how those we can manage as we go forward. So far in terms of our experience and the next few steps, I would maybe talk of the challenges a little later.
Okay, thank you, Manojit, for your presentation. I think you mentioned dialogue is very important, be it with your customers and suppliers and, of course, your staff. I think it's very commendable that you provided extra financial support for your employees, which is probably something not all companies across India will be in a position to do. I mean, you mentioned there will be pressure on the balance sheet. But thank you so far, and we will get to some of the challenges when we maybe address those to Dr. Morhat. I would now like to give the floor to Umesh Gandhi. He is in manufacturing. Umesh, please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I guess it's still morning, 2 minutes till noon. And good morning to my panelists and to everyone in the audience and to Dr. Morhat and the team from the consulate. I am Umesh Gandhi. I'm the Joint Managing Director at Hydac India Private Limited. Hydac India Private Limited is a subsidiary of Hydac International GmbH, which is a German company. They have a sales turnover of about 1.4 billion euros with about 8,000 employees worldwide. In India, we have a sales turnover in the last calendar year, which is our reporting year, which ended in December 2019. We had a turnover of 250 crores. We have 275 employees throughout India. We have 4 production locations, one in Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, one in Bangalore in Pina Industrial Estate, one in Mahape, MIDC, which is in Navi Mumbai, and one in Bhiwandi. And along with that, we have 7 regional offices. Yeah. Today, Hyrac India produces hydraulic components and systems, and we provide these systems and components and services to the power industry, basically covering thermal power, hydropower, and wind power, to steel manufacturing, to cement, machine tool, which includes metal cutting, metal forming, and plastic injection molding, to mobile machinery, which includes agricultural machines, construction equipment, and utility equipment, and also to the automotive industry, both on board and in plant. Yeah. So basically restarting, which started pretty much beginning of May for one of our plants, and then towards the middle of May for the other plants, it's been a big challenge. Mainly the challenges come for applying for permission. You know, we started applying for permission to start in the middle of April. First of all, not knowing which authority to apply to. We tried several different things, and finally it shook out that Coimbatore, we had to apply to the collector. We did that, and we got our permission right about the beginning of May. And then further on, we applied to the MIDC for the Maharashtra plants, and we got the permission for those plants. And for Karnataka, for the Peenya plant, basically there was a government announcement which permitted us to start working over there at reduced staff. Yeah. Unfortunately, most of the information that we got there was no formal information channel to us. It was basically by word of mouth. You know, we would get on the phone and speak to industries around us. We'd talk to our labor contractor, and then somehow we figured out that this is how we have to proceed with it, and we have gone ahead and got the approval. Since then, the challenges have been many. One of the first, the biggest challenge has been getting the people to come back to work. Fortunately for us in our Coimbatore plant, most of the people working there were local people. Some of them even living in the village that the company is located in. So those people were not difficult to get back. But in Mumbai, you know, with the distances that we travel and the lack of public transportation, has been really, really difficult to get the people back. Plus, a lot of people working in Mumbai went back to their villages, some in Maharashtra and some outside of Maharashtra. And then getting these people back, once we started, has also been difficult, along with the quarantine requirements that are imposed on these people once they return from their villages. Basically, the people, also the ones living nearby with older people at home or young children, are fearful to come into the office, and we've had to facilitate for them to provide work from their homes with online services, etc. Another big challenge is also even our customers are not familiar, not really in control of what they want and what they've ordered from us, and neither are our vendors. So it's a big mix and match. Some vendors are able to produce parts and supply to us, while customers require parts from us that vendors are not able to supply. So it's a real mix and match as we go through this, as to who we supply to and what we get from our vendors. Imports from Germany, we import a lot of our product from Germany, which gets either sold directly, or we value add to that product by assembling it into small assemblies. And these were stuck at the port because the ports have very little labor, and then not on top of that, we were being charged demurrage charges because these consignments weren't moving out of the port. So we had to receive these shipments during the shutdown, store them somewhere, and then start sorting through them once we could reattend the factories. Added to the whole thing is, even after we've produced and we have product ready, getting it to our customers or even getting things from our suppliers is not easy, because there's a lot of uncertainty in the transportation. transporters are willing to pick up product, but they give you no guarantee as to when they will deliver it to your customer. So what have we done since then? Basically, we've set up company our own transportation. We always had our own transportation, but we've added extra stops and rerouted the routes so that the customers who were originally reliant on, employees who were originally reliant on public transportation could also be picked up and brought to work. We've worked with our people who came in their own transportation to carpool or bike pool with their colleagues. And we've also facilitated documents, letters, whatever is needed for our employees who are remote to get permissions to travel back to Mumbai to work with us. We've also gone ahead and taken out a special insurance coverage to cover COVID-related sicknesses for all of our employees. So that was an extra expense that we bore, but we wanted to make sure that nobody was burdened additionally due to any COVID-related sickness. And this is over and above the insurance that we already provided. We've put several safety measures into place. We follow the safety protocols. I think these safety protocols are available through industry organizations, through your vendors, through your customers. And we follow those very diligently at all plants. In fact, there is a YouTube video of our Coimbatore plant that shows all these safety measures. And I can provide the link to the Indo-German Chamber after this meeting. Then we have health checks at the company gate. Basically, we measure the temperature of everybody. We make the employees sign a self-declaration saying that they are of good health. We ensure social distancing at the workplace. And we also have all the provisions for employees. Let us say we do see an employee or detect an employee that is unwell. There is a place provided for that employee to isolate within the company, and even a restroom reserved for that employee to use that restroom up and until a time when they can be attended to by a medical professional and escorted or made to go off in a different direction. Fortunately, we've not had to use that so far, so we're very happy about that. Also, we have pretty much mandated that anybody that is not required to produce parts or be associated with the factory should work from home. That means all planning, purchase, sales, unless and until they are actually required at the factory for a specific purpose, they do not come in. They've been provided with all the tools and the network to work from home, and that seems to be working fairly well so far. In the past 2 months, while we were shut down, we had a lot of challenges. As management, we were really concerned about our P&L, how we cover our fixed costs, etc. But we fortunately managed to do it somehow through the month of April and May. We had several products that were already produced. Customers allowed us to, at certain plants that were not under such severe restrictions as the Mumbai facility, were allowed to go in and ship those products, and customers allowed us to invoice them. And so we managed to cover some of our expenses in that manner. And since we've started up, we are prioritizing on products that we can ship and bill immediately so that we don't show a loss at the end of the month. During the shutdown also, our sales, our design, our applications, people had been working diligently. And as typically in manufacturing industry, at least one like ours, we work on projects and programs that are 3, 6, 12 months away from where we are today. So all that work is still going on, and all those proposals have been made to customers. And sometimes during that process, we've also managed to get a few new orders for these. Purchasing has worked during the shutdown time, negotiating with our vendors and planning with them as to what material to prioritize when we start up. Similarly, with our internal planning, we worked on basically trying to prioritize how to produce this material and ship it out. But in spite of all this planning that went in during the shutdown time, once we have started, it's been literally scrambling from left to right, basically trying to figure out what we're going to ship to whom and where we're going to go. Again, in motivating our employees, we've paid our salaries for April and May with some adjustment to the leave. And once people have started working, we have also adjusted less leave reduced from them so that they're shown some appreciation that they have made the effort to come into the factory and work for us. As we go on, we don't know how the challenges will go on for the next few months, but we have to piece through this as we, our vendors, and our customers all piece through the same challenges that we are having as we go forward. I think that's about the end of my presentation, and I'll hand it back to Peter to proceed on with this meeting.
Thank you very much, Umesh. That was very interesting and a lot of practical experiences, what you've been going through. I mean, getting people back to work from their villages, I think it's a challenge that I've been hearing all this while. The staff is being fearful and there are uncertainties. I like your idea of carpooling. I mean, just to basically see that you're less dependent on public transport, and also that you have covered the COVID insurance for your staff and the other healthy or special health measures in your company. And obviously, I think it is very important, like you mentioned. I mean, these days you need to prioritize on your production according to what can go out and to what the new circumstances are. Well, thank you very much for that, Umesh. Now we have Saga Busle from Schmersal. Saga will have a video also. I hope that works out. I mean, with these webinars, there is often some technical issues, but I'm sure today will be fine. Saga, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, Dr. Morhart, Mr. Doibet, my co-panelist, Mr. Acharya, Mr. Gandhi, all the people, my colleagues who have joined in for this webinar, and also the back office team of IGCC, Sana, Mira, and Monaz for arranging this webinar. So the topic is restarting the journey, and we would like to share a video with you of how we actually started our journey back. Sana, can you please play the video?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sana. Here we just shared the video of how we restarted our company after the lockdown. I would just like to take you through some slides to tell you more about our journey of restarting. Just a quick overlook of our company. The first slide, please. Yeah, the second, yeah. So here you see Schmersal is a global company which is having in the field of safety for more than 70 years. We are about 1,800 employees globally, but we have only one goal, that together with our customers and partners, we are turning the workplaces into safe places. The next slide, please. This slide is important because if you see, we have 7 manufacturing production sites, out of which 4 are in Germany, 1 is in Brazil, 1 in China, and the 7th one in India. It is important that during the entire period of lockdown here in India, we're working, whether it was the Brazilian plant or all the 4 plants in Germany. To the matter of fact, even the plant in China after 17th of Feb was working in full swing. So this was the first thing for us, that when the lockdown was declared, how do we restart the plant? The next slide, please. So the good part, as I said, was all these plants were operating, and it was possible for us to keep the supply chain open if we had our plant running and had the necessary people to accept the goods, produce the goods, and send it back to the essential customers. The next slide, please. So here we come to our manufacturing plant in Pune. So as we saw that the area of Mumbai and Pune, we call it as PMR, is under a lockdown. But fortunately, you can see, can you just click on the slide? So our plant in Ranjangaon falls in the rural zone. So we had the opportunity first during 4th of April to start the plant under essential services. Today, if you see the total strength of the plant, what we are, can you just click on, please? We are about 120 total employees working, out of which around 40 to 45 people are employed in the plant. The next slide, please. So coming to the manufacturing, you know, once the lockdown was declared, the first week for us was complete chaos, let us admit it, because we did not get a chance to do a controlled shutdown of the plant. It was very sudden. The only good thing is that in the start of March, we had some feelers that there could be more requirement of work from home. So in our monthly meeting at the start of March, we had already started making some preparations to have some people work from home in the coming months. But we never anticipated in the first week of March that all the people would have to be moved to work from home. So after the first week, we actually got together and we started looking for ways to restart the production, because our customers who were under essential were already operating their plant. And when it came to permissions, we have to know that normally while running our company in the good times or the normal flow, we are not in touch with the local authorities as much as we should. For example, when we had to apply to start our plant under essential, you had to know that you have to make an application to the collector's office, the labor office, but the person who actually sanctions your application under essential is a tehsildar. All of us know the tehsildar, but I doubt how many of us have visited a tehsildar office, which is very close to the MIDC area. Once you had the permission from the tehsildar, the next thing was to get the permissions to move the people. To move the people, you need permissions for vehicles. And then the Tehsildar is not the person who sanctions this. You have to go to a circle officer who is responsible for issuing the pass. This is very important that the local authorities carry a lot of weight and they are very eager to help, provided we approach them with the correct documents, and normally they are also in close touch with the headquarters in Pune, the main collector office or the labor office or the Directorate of Industrial Safety and Health office. So as we saw what Mr. Gandhi also mentioned, that there is normally a lot of discrepancies in the circulars which come up. So it is the best to, what we have learned is best to go to these people and ask for clarifications. At the same time, we also saw in one of the IGCC seminars where we had the SP of Pune in one of the forums, he always mentions that if you have any issues with starting your plant, whether it is starting or running or getting the people to the plant, please do call up us directly. They are very open to give out their numbers, and it's just a phone call or a message to them, and they try to help us. They also know that sometimes their messages are not properly interpreted by the local authorities, but then they take care to ensure that the necessary permissions are given. As you saw in the video, we started the plant and we follow all the necessary procedures like scanning of the employees, making them aware of all the things. But one of the most important thing which I would definitely recommend to all the people is the documentation of these processes. It is very necessary to have these processes documented as a part of policy. It is necessary to display these policies at places where the workers could come together. Maybe it could be a water cooler or it could be the canteen where there is a possibility. So these are the things which we did, and the supervisor in the plant is responsible for ensuring the necessary guidelines are followed, and we have given him enough authority to ensure this. Once the plant has started working, we always keep getting different circulars from different people or different authorities. Again, it is very necessary first to get these informations to our hand from a reliable channel. And secondly, we have to go through these documents. I can tell you it's not easy to read these documents with the way they are phrased and where they are put in the format, but then you have to go through them. And if you find any things which are not practical, again, it is always advisable to talk to these authorities. Just to give you an example, there is a latest guideline by the Labor Office. It mentions one additional point like the operators need to have goggles on in addition to the mask they wear. So if this is not possible or not needed, or if it is really an issue, it is best to talk to these authorities. Please keep the channels open and our life becomes much more easier, and they are very eager to help. Coming to the people who actually work in the plant. Fortunately for Schmersal, we had all the people working in the plant coming for the nearby villages. And we could arrange transport for them, which we have, but only thing is, due to social distancing, we had to run the vehicles more than what is required. But it is very important that we have to take care of these workers who come to work in the plant. You have to understand that they come from villages, and even if they have the necessary permissions to come to the plant, it is quite possible that the local Gram Panchayat or the Gram Sevak or someone superior in the village might restrict them from going if they feel unsafe. So normally these colleagues of ours are caught in fire that they want to come but they are not allowed. In such cases, our supervisors and the senior people from factory spoke to these people, and we gave the flexibility to our co-workers that if they find any such issue, please do not come, stay safe at home, because ultimately they have to go back to their social environment in the evening. The other important thing which came up, which was necessary, was the medical insurance. And as a company, we are required to take the medical insurances of all the people, and it is always better to include the contract workers, including the security staff who guards your plant day in and day out. The other important point which we realized during this lockdown while operating the plant was from the logistics front. But then we had a very good support from our plant in Germany who were running. Twice a week, we had a meeting with them, and every time we used to check which carrier is coming to India, whether we should move it by air or ship, what are the freight costs, how much time it would take, how urgency is for the customer. But having a regular meeting with our parent company and the suppliers who were open, this helped us to mitigate the delays in the supply chain. And I can say in the month of April, it was very difficult, but from mid-April towards the end of April, it became easier as more and more vehicles started to transport from the customs to the factory and vice versa, from our export-oriented unit also back to the plants in China and Germany. In the month of May, except for our vendors in Mumbai who are in the red zone, we are not having any issues with respect to the supply chain. Most of them are open. They are just going through the initial teething problems, but they are open, and I'm sure we will soon establish the chains as they were before the COVID times. Next slide, please, Anna. Apart from the manufacturing, we have a city office where we have our global IT service center as well as the global engineering center. This global IT center and the engineering center, for your information, we are still not open, although we have the permission to operate it with say 30% or 35% of the workforce. But here comes the difference that in a production plant, while you are in total control of all the things, in city offices where your office is part of a big complex or a mall, it's not easy to monitor all the things, especially in areas like common parking or lifts. There is only a limited precaution we can take. So we are still working from home office for all these global centers. This has also taught us that work from home is not only suitable for the IT guys. We have realized in the past 2 months, if the necessary infrastructure and tools are available, then we can also work from home to quite a large extent. This also led us to defining some different policies, because the IT center, for example, with all the plants of Schmersal working from home, they had a tough time to ensure that they did the infrastructure support for all these employees worldwide. The engineering center had different problem. Although we moved their desktops and their laptops to home, their operating softwares are too heavy, and accessing the German servers and other connection was always an issue for some time. But over the time, our teams from Germany and India tried to resolve this problem and had the engineering center working. I can say for the past, out of 2 months of 2 months of lockdown, the engineering center is fully working for past 1.5 months with all the people working from home. Yeah, next slide, please. Now coming to our team, the people who are doing the customer interactions, we are getting a lot of requests where the customers are calling our team to do the further discussions and complete the pending jobs. We have made a policy that if anyone has to go out to meet a customer, there is a protocol to be followed. And also at the same time, we also demand from the customers that if our employee is in their premises, they would adhere to the necessary safety precautions which they need to take. So in and all, I can say that the situation of COVID has taught us a lot of new things, and I'm sure we will carry forward a lot of new things, a lot of new knowledge out of this to enhance our working in future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saga. I mean, it was good to see a factory shop floor actually active under COVID. I think that was quite, I was happy to see that. I mean, to be in touch with the local authorities, be it the labor office or collection office, is very important at these times. And I think it's also good that you provide support to your staff when in their villages, when there is sort of like a little bit of resistance for them going. And to develop standard operating procedures for safety and health at this time is obviously also very important. We are a little late, but we're coming to our question and answer time. I have actually if I'm allowed, one first question before Monas takes over with the questions that we have received from the audience. I would like to ask Dr. Morhard. I mean, Umesh mentioned, and I think for many other companies it's the same, it will be difficult to get the workers back from the villages wherever they are. So we know that talking to the authorities and being in touch is very important, and you have to find out which are the right authorities. But for example, would we be in Maharashtra, I mean, would you be able to help us get workers back from districts outside of Maharashtra, let's say maybe even with the help of the consulates over there and their contacts? Do you think something like that is possible, Dr. Morhard?
Well, indeed, it's not only the migrants workers which have left, but it's also those workers who have left inside Maharashtra in their villages. And we would need the specific locations, right? Because it's changing all the time, and to find out, you know, where the majority of the workers who should come back might be located. But at the moment, I also understand there is a quarantine foreseen for some of the districts when you want to return, but we need specifically, you know, where are they? Are they in Sangli? Are they in Surat? Or where are they? They have to come back. This is important. Very interestingly, what we saw yesterday in another event, MIDC suggested or was putting on the table a new policy. They're saying it might be possible in the future that you're building hostels for your workers inside on the MIDC property. I think this is very important, a new development, because this might help also the companies to look forward in the future on how to prevent situations as such at the moment, and also to be more attractive for workers who are coming from further away to stay there during the week. But please give us in detail what is the specific case, what company, where might your workers be, in what area, and we will have a look to it and get back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Morhard. I would now like to, there are a few questions that have come in from the audience. I would now like Monas to lead us through the questions and pose them to whoever, to Dr. Morhard or to any of the panelists. Thank you, Monas, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Our first question is for Mr. Gandhi. Can we get more details of COVID-related additional insurance?
Sure. Basically, unfortunately, I don't have the details on the top of my head, but our insurance provider has provided an addition to the policy that we already carry. And I will provide this to IGCC, and you can choose to distribute it through the audience as you wish.
Certainly. Thank you so much. The second question is also for you. Perhaps a little comment on the leave adjustment. The candidate has asked, hope the leave adjustment was flat across the organization.
Yes. So the leave adjustment was flat across the organization. We were fully aware that even during shutdown, let me backstep a little bit, because of the sudden manner in which the shutdown was brought on us. Not everyone could prepare to go work from home. So some of our employees who had laptops and had connectivity at home were able to continue, but while others were not. So we decided not to discriminate against anyone like that. So when we did the leave adjustment, we did it flat across the board for everybody, same adjustment, whether you worked or not. And that was, we appealed to the employees that were working, that look, this is all part of the company's survival. Company survives, we all survive. Yeah. But then once we've started working now, the ones that are actually mandated to come into the factory, less leave is being cut from them as we go forward. I don't want to get into specifics as to how much leave we've cut, but believe me, it's very generous compared to a lot of what I've seen a lot of other companies do in this industry.
Of course, certainly. Thank you so much, Mr. Gandhi. Moving on to Mr. Bhosle, this question is for you. Has your company prepared any SOP in case you came across any COVID case in your factory/site?
Actually, there we have not prepared anything specific. There are clear guidelines from the government that in case there is a positive COVID patient or person found, how do you take steps for it? Like taking the person to the nearest location, informing the authorities and all those steps. So since the standard procedure is laid down by the government, we follow that, and that is something which is there in our policy also. But we do not have a separate one. We just follow the government guidelines for it.
Okay, Mr. Bhosle, thank you so much. The second question is also directed to you. How did the company manage the sales pricing while dealing with the hefty surcharges imposed by many forwarders during COVID?
This is a good question, because while everyone is worried about the P&L and the costs, the freights have drastically increased. And at one point of time, the freights were 4.5 times of what we normally pay. But as I said, there is a big fluctuation in the freight rates. At present, we have decided to absorb all these surcharges and the increase in the freight. But if this continues for another month or so, then we would definitely look and engage with our customers who know about this and would work together with them to sort this issue out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhosle. This is a general question from a manufacturer from Kolkata. He says, we are manufacturers and exporters of leather products in Kolkata. Overseas customers are cancelling orders and asking us to hold shipment for now. What do we do? Any general comment from any of the panelists?
I can only comment basically, which is my comment comes from outside of my HIDAC business. We also have a business that we supply into the high fashion industry, and that is run by my family business rather than HIDAC business. And really, there's not much we can do other than negotiate with those customers to pick up on orders that they've placed, it's two challenges you will face. Not only is it getting them to pick up the shipments, the second is to also getting them to pay you for shipments that you've made. Unfortunately, we're at their mercy. We don't have, I would imagine, being a smaller organization, typically us being a small organization, family business, we don't have the reach and the leverage to pursue any legal remedies with these customers. So I don't think I've given you a solution. I've just shared that the experiences we're feeling the same pain, but there is no real solution to those things from those other customers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gandhi. Thank you. That was truly heartfelt. The other question is also overall for the panelist. What are the steps companies can take for adopting reskilling their workforce for distance economy? Reskilling.
I can take this. So basically, we are talking about two different parts here. One is the people in the plant and people who are working from home. And since this situation, we have to unlearn a lot of things which we were doing. The people in the plant, we are trying to equip them with more information from the machines so that they are able to get some real-time information and diagnosis of the machines when they are away. So they need to upgrade their skills to these levels. And for people who are working back from home, it is mandatory. The basic thing is to be able to handle all the technological changes. And with this, every business will have some drastic changes. For example, when we talk of we are supplying to elevators, now we have to skill ourselves to move from a non-contact push button to a contactless push button. These technologies will be emerging. So it is very necessary to reskill ourselves and get updated to the new technologies which the industries will demand for the people who are sitting back home and trying to reskill themselves.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Maybe I could just add a little bit to that. What would also be important for a more of a service sales and service company like us is to upskill our service engineers towards things like virtual service, of how much of service, what are the kind of service that we can provide over online or over phone to our customers if we are unable to reach there. And I think this is not only for the COVID situation. Virtual reality for servicing is already in practice, but maybe in India it's still something which is not practiced too much. But I think this gives us the right opportunity to upskill people for that, and we would start working on that for our service engineers.
So I'd like to add something. I cannot help but make a sales pitch here for HIDAC. We as HIDAC have a lot of products that are used with IoT and remote diagnosis sensors for oil and temperature sensors and things of that nature, which we've already integrated into several steel mills and cement plants to give people remote access to data and even trending data for the service life of certain components. And I see we could, if anybody has a requirement for this, we can sit down, analyze your needs, and come up with a set of sensors and maybe some overlaying software to give you some sort of diagnosis of your equipment as it's used.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. There are a set of two questions which, again, across the panel, if someone would like to take up. To what extent productivity increase, if any, and cost reduction is expected due to work from home? Will corporate policy be adopted to stay future lockdown ready?
I think, Monas, these are a bit general questions. Now, I don't know if we can all answer them, and I'm seeing that we are already 15 minutes over time. all these questions will be addressed, and we will get back to whoever posed that question. I think maybe allow one more specific question.
There is one which is, okay, how are companies preparing for future pandemics? Are there things and processes being put in place? This is a bit futuristic, so would it be suitable for anyone to take it?
I can always.
I think I can.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So I can just share one thing which we have decided is that it is very important to have a digital roadmap for any company to handle these type of situations in future, whether it is for the people, whether it is for the machines, whether it is for industry 4.0 and automation of machines. But a digital roadmap, which we always had in our books, but now we have taken it on the forefront, and we are building a digital roadmap for the next 2 years. And step by step, we need to be prepared for any of these things. It's not necessary that we should have a pandemic to enjoy this benefits, but anything worthwhile we could easily implement. Yeah,
So
Mr. Acharya.
To add to what Mr. Bhosle said, so I'm not going to repeat. I completely agree with the digital roadmap, and that is something that our company is also in the process of implementing. But the other question is basically a request to Dr. Morhat is, we anticipate even when it comes to this COVID itself, I anticipate as we go down over the next 6 to 12 months, it'll decline, and then we'll have flare-ups and things of that nature as it goes forward. And manufacturing industry is interdependent, and what we'd like is a more rifle and specific approach to prevention of spread rather than the shotgun approach of just shutting down industrial parks and regions, because industry is interdependent, and we can't just survive on ourselves. We need suppliers, and if the shutdowns and the prevention methods were a little bit more specific rather than blanket, I think we could still continue to operate without complete shutdown of our operations. So that's a request that we would like to make to the through the consulate, if they can have some request or influence on the government on this topic.
Thank you very much. We will take this up. But you see, the worldwide experience will hopefully teach everybody how to do it differently and in a more efficient way the next time something is coming. So it has been a first time that is, and you see every government around the world is criticized for whatever they are doing. But here it was a clear strategy, which was also communicated to us when we put up our complaints and concerns beginning, said we are here to save lives and not livelihoods. That was a government strategy, right? And under this strategy, of course, they did look at everything differently. But I think through all the learning curve we are going through now to see, you cannot even start industries in a piecemeal and only this sector and there. That is not working until everything is restarted comprehensively altogether. I think this will be a very important lesson where all the governments are going to learn, and I'm pretty sure that we will have another approach the next time a pandemic comes. It's the same thing where you were questioning, what you were mentioning somewhere from the audience. The pandemic was not on our scenario, right? We have a huge compendium on crisis preparedness, but pandemic was not in. And then this is going to change, and I think we will be much better prepared for whatever might come around the corner next time. But I'm still optimistic, and I hope there will be no next time so soon.
Hello, I think we have lost Dr. Morhat. Hello?
Yes. Yeah, Mr. David.
Yeah, Peter?
Okay, I think, yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. thank you very much to all the panelists. I think we just do the thank you note now and end this seminar, which I think, or webinar, I think, which was very, very interesting. I mean, I learned a lot. I thank all personally for registering and attending today. A big thank you to Dr. Morhard. Your valuable support is always appreciated, Jürgen. A big thank you also to our panelists of today who shared valuable insights and experiences in restarting operations. A lot of practical tips there, which I'm sure will be very valuable. Last but not least, to the team of IGCC, all these weeks we have been putting up new and new webinars, always stressing about technical issues and hopefully having good connections and so forth. So in particular, Monas and Sana are doing a great work here. As always, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on our website and will also be sent to whoever has registered, including the presentations and the video and other information that was sought by you. Please regularly check our website for upcoming events. I mean, we will have a next webinar already next week on the 4th of June, which will be in partnership with Amphori on supply chains, responsible supply chains. Dear members and partners, I hope you found this today as helpful as I did. I wish you all a successful restart. And whenever you require help or assistance, please speak to us. Please speak to the consulate. We'll be more than happy to help. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.